it's me again today with my first story time. I wanted to talk about an event that happened to me when I was a kid. The title of this video is actually The Truth. I didn't just make that for clickbait. It was literally what happened to me. I was in about, I'd say second or third grade. I ended up going with my dad to go visit some family. And this happened multiple times. It wasn't just because this was my first time with my dad. I would always go with my dad or my mom. It didn't really matter, but to that day I decided that I was gonna go spend time with my dad. We went to my uncle's place, but before that, every time we would go somewhere, he would always make sure that he had something for me to eat. If it was McDonald's, something that he could pick up for me. Well, that day we stopped at the store and he picked me up one of those cups of ramen noodles. I was okay with that because me being a kid, I thought those were really good. When we got there, he boiled the water, he put it in the cup, put something over the cup so that it would cook the noodles and whatever. Went and played and did my thing. So when I got back to the table and I was ready to eat, I was telling him like, Dad, I'm hungry, is it ready? And at that time, he had let the cup of soup cool down for at least 15 minutes. So you have to imagine that that water was very, very, very hot to cook it, because 15 minutes would cool something off. Am I right? I sat back at the table, I waited, and my dad put the bowl of soup beside me but said, how about you wait a little bit still? So he pushed it away from me to the middle of the table. My uncle was always one of them to like play around with us and make us laugh and make us joke. It was never malicious. He was always just someone to do jokes, have a good time, and whatever. He came over and he started to tickle me. I am the worst person you could tickle because I can't handle it, so all of my body just goes and goes and goes. So my arm grabbed onto the soup, so the soup was like right here, and I pulled it, and when I pulled it, the soup fell on my lap, and it was still as hot as you could think it would be. I don't remember much after that. I remember screaming as loud as I could scream. My aunt came and helped me. The first thing that they had to do was to take my jeans off, because eventually if you leave clothes on skin that's burnt, they will, like, the skin will be stuck to the jeans, and you don't ever want that. So they had to rip the jeans off. They laid me down. They were pouring cold water on me, which normally you do. It's like when you're cooking and you burn your finger a little bit, you put it under cold water, right? Well, that's what they were doing, just pouring cold water on me. I remember my dad calling my mom and going to get her. I kind of blacked out when my dad left, because when he came back, it felt like it was like 2 seconds. And for him to leave and come back, it would have been at least 20 maybe, but it felt like 2 seconds. They put on like clothes on me, well, not clothes, but they put like pants for me to get from A to B, put me in the truck. I think everybody was so nervous and it happened so fast, nobody called the ambulance. Where we were was like literally 5 minutes from the hospital, so maybe that's what they thought as well. They put me in the truck and drove me to the hospital. I remember being in the truck, so you could see that I was going in and out. I never felt pain at that point. My body shut off that pain. It didn't want to feel it. It didn't want to really know what was happening. After that, we went out of the truck. I don't remember that. I just remember being in the truck looking outside and being like, what just happened? When we got into the hospital, they took me right away. They didn't make me wait, and they shoved me in basically the operation room. Dad got interrogated really, really, really badly, to the point of like tears, because they wanted to know if they thought he did it or he wasn't watching me or whatever the case was. My mom didn't get anything bad because she wasn't there. She didn't know what was happening. She just knew that there was a call and she had to go. So because my dad was at the scene and he saw what happened, and they just blamed him. To me, it was like, focus more on me and stop blaming my dad, because it wasn't him at all. Accidents happen, but I get it, I guess. When they put me into the surgery room, they told my parents, they said, we tried to give her some medicine. She's basically in shock right now. She's probably not going to remember most of this. This is also what my parents told me. But we have to do it. Basically, my skin on my thigh, on my left thigh, was basically coming off. They had to take off the skin that was melted so that I didn't get an infection. He warned my parents that I was probably gonna scream in pain, that it was gonna be probably not a beautiful scene, but my mom refused to not be beside me. Apparently, I was screaming, and apparently it was the most awful thing to see. I remember like focusing, like I guess coming out of it and realizing that I was in a white room and they were doing something to me, but I don't remember what. I still don't remember the pain. I don't remember them pulling any skin or anything like that, so you could tell that I was still very much so in shock. I don't have much of my memory of the rest of the day after that. I don't remember anything. I think that them pulling the skin off of it basically sent me into complete shock. I don't remember anything after that. I don't remember if I had to stay in the hospital. I don't remember if they let me leave. I don't remember anything, but I do remember recovery. And that was let us know that I had first, second, and third degree burns on my leg. I wasn't allowed to wear any pants, so I wasn't allowed to go to school. I had to wrap my leg with this special stuff. So you would put this cream on and then you wrap it with it. The hospital where I live is very questionable. They gave me plastic bandages to put on top of a burn. A burn is skin that's healing. When you put cream, it's wet. After a while, the cream soaks into it and the sore will get dry. Well, it will dry to the plastic. You don't ever put plastic on a burn. I remember having to be held down so that my mom could change them, because you always have to change the bandages, I think every couple hours. But anyways, my grandmother came over one time and she saw that I was freaking out to change my bandage, and she said the pain at this point should be all over. She shouldn't have to endure this anymore. What is happening? So she watched my mom and then she realized, like, are they retarded? Like, they gave your daughter plastic bandages. What are they doing? But my grandmother used to be a head nurse before, like a while back, so she had all of the stuff that she needed. She came and she gave me like basically enough cloth bandages to do me all the way to when my burn was healed enough so that I could wear pants and stuff like that. My grandmother was always a savior like that. And then from that moment on, the changing of the bandages went super easy and whatever. But then I started to realize, when I wasn't feeling any pain anywhere else, that wearing underwear hurt. And so we had to go back to the hospital because they didn't understand why, to realize that they missed a spot that I got burnt in, and that was in my underwear region. So now not only can I not wear pants, I can't wear underwear. I had to start creaming there as well. It was a lot to take in for, you know, being so young. I was between the ages of like 8 to 10. I wasn't allowed to go to school. This was probably the first time. It changed a lot of things for me. You know, like being a mom, I'm so scared of that kind of stuff, and I'm probably more of a mother hen because I've been through that and I know what that is and I know what that brings, and every little thing I feel like could hurt my children, and I know I can't live like that. I know I have to let them have a little bit of a life, but when it comes to burns, I try to avoid that completely as much as I possibly can. I was probably one of the luckiest ones that's been burnt, because today, if you were to see me, you cannot ever tell that I was burnt. My grandmother knew how to take care of my burns so well. I have no traces of any kind of like melted skin, or I have nothing. It looks like skin like this, perfect. Everywhere down there looks perfect. All I know is that at that moment, that was probably one of the most scariest things that I ever had to go through, and all because of a cup of ramen noodles. So all I have to say is that when it comes to hot things, please keep them protected from your children. And a bowl of soup, always test it multiple times before you give it to your kids. You think, oh, 15 minutes. I would have thought too. Being a mom, I would have said 15 minutes. There's no way that that soup is still hot. So that's my story. Like and subscribe for more story times. I hope to talk to you soon.